Well, 2025 is over and a brand new year has begun. And of course that marks the perfect time to take a little look back and see what we missed in 2023 for some reason. See, in the fall 2023 season, there were two notable slice-of-life anime. The first was 16-Bit Sensation, a show about retro Bishoujo game production and time travel. I very much enjoyed it up until the final few episodes, where it really jumped the shark and disappointed me. Perhaps this is the otaku equivalent of Marvel movies, where simply having a character you recognize show up is supposed to titillate the audience. But I still got a sense of excitement when I would see a Ubisoft visual novel I've read on the character's shelf. Hey, it's that thing I like. But anyhow, let's not get distracted by 16-Bit Sensation. I saw that anime do fairly well in terms of culture. There were threads about it on and it was mentioned on Twitter a couple of times. But strangely, the other slice-of-life anime from the same season got far less attention. That show was Hoshikuzu Telepath. Hoshitele is not a flawless show by any means. Frankly, in a lot of ways I don't know what to make of it. And that all comes down to one particular character, but I'll get back to that in a second. The first thing to note is what really got me interested in this show to begin with. Now, it may have just been because I was very sleep deprived when I watched it, but episodes 1 and 2 of this show were borderline a spiritual experience for me. The first episode is straight up avant-garde. It's told almost exclusively through first-person internal monologue, and the surrealist elements of the plot serve to produce a dreamlike atmosphere which is extremely unique. We follow Umika Konohoshi, a first-year high school student with severe social anxiety and communication issues. Now, we've had some anime such as Komi-san wa Komyusho desu or Hitoribochi no Marumaru Seikatsu about cute girls in high school with communication problems trying to make friends. But where Hoshitele differentiates itself is in the main character's surreal delusions. You see, Umika believes that no one on Earth can understand her or hear her words, and so she becomes fixated on the concept of aliens who can finally connect with her. But then, strangely enough, a new girl shows up, claiming to be an alien. And what's more, through her odekopathy powers, can telepathically connect with Umika and finally understand her feelings. Even if you have no interest in watching the rest of the show, I highly recommend checking out that first episode. It's like a little self-contained short film almost. The way we're pulled into Umika's world, the line between delusion and reality blurring into a waking dream, it really produces something profound in me. In fact, I'm almost tempted to label this with the contentious term denpa. Almost, I don't think I actually would label it as such. Again, separating it from similarly premised shows, Hoshitele isn't playing up the comedy. Sure, there are jokes in the show, but it's really about the drama and Yuri elements. The relationship between Umika and Yu, the alien girl, the only person she can connect with, is very effective. If the show was just a direct and exact continuation of that first episode where the whole world is shut off to Umika except for Yu, and they go on semi-delusional slice-of-life adventures to deepen their Yuri love, I feel confident in saying this would instantly leap to the top of my favorites. Unfortunately, that show would also be insane, impossible to write, and would appeal to no one except me, so it's not what we got. Instead, the anime adds new characters as it goes on. First is Takaragi Haruno, a joyful and laid-back girl who is supportive of the main character's quest. What quest is that? Well, the thrust of the show is that Yu's spaceship has crashed and broken, so in order to return to space, they have to build a new spaceship. Yu has also lost all of her past memories in the crash, aside from a few details like the alien language. The problem, of course, is that how could a group of high school girls create a spaceship capable of interplanetary travel with living passengers aboard? It's an absurd premise, and because of that, there's a strange interplay between literal and metaphorical interpretations. Then we get a huge curveball. Matataki Daimon is the fourth girl introduced, and rounding out the main cast. Unlike the other three, she is boisterous, assertive, opinionated, and pragmatic. There are many slice-of-life anime with a tomboy character with some of these traits, but in this case, Daimon-san goes beyond merely hot-blooded into downright aggression and rudeness. As the show goes on, with Daimon's pragmatism bringing the main cast back down to Earth, they decide that the most reasonable course of action is to learn to build model rockets as a stepping stone towards building a real spaceship. The majority of the runtime is a cute girls do model rockets anime, and the surrealism of the first 2 episodes is mostly gone by episode 4 and never really comes back. What's more, it's pretty shocking to see Umika being effectively bullied by Daimon. She is repeatedly belittled and insulted, driven to tears. It's painful to watch a cute and shy anime girl cry. I want to protect her. And this made me turn against the show. Why would you ruin this unique, dreamlike tone by introducing such a rude and abrasive character to the main cast? And why is the narrative letting her seemingly get away with being a selfish bully, especially to the detriment of our main character, while still expecting us to overall root for the group? You see, the group needs Matataki's technical skills with engineering in order to build the model rocket. So rooting for the group means rooting for Matataki, but I don't want to root for Matataki because she's an asshole. There are hints though that there's more to this character. Matataki's engineering interest seems to have been sparked by an interest in mecha. In fact, her goal appears to be building a mech. Isn't that also an outlandish dream, just like building a spaceship? And I was won back over towards the end of the show. After a whole arc of build-up, their group enter a model rocket competition and they perform terribly, not even making it through the qualifiers. This drives Raimon-san into a depression, as her sense of self-worth is deeply tied to her competitive nature. She stops coming to school, she cuts off contact. When they try to lure her back in with a contest between the rest of the group and her, she throws by using a low-powered gunpowder fuel charge on purpose. At this point I realized, just like Umika did, that this has actually been Matataki's story just as much as it's been Umika's. Matataki, who lashed out at those who got close to her because she's afraid to get close to other people. Matataki, who became so passionate about model rockets, which she acted as if she was just roped into building. While Umika's psychological problems have manifested in severe anxiety and a nervous stutter, Matataki's internal struggle has caused her to push away the friends she cherishes and perform acts of self-sabotage out of fear. In the end, the planet on which people's thoughts could be understood is the Model Rocket Club of Fujinomimisaki High School. Hoshitele can be overly sentimental at times. Throughout the last 3 episodes, it seems like Umika is crying in every scene. Various parts of the melodrama feel somewhat forced or unearned. After episode 2, the show seems to take a while to figure out what it wants to be, and wanders aimlessly for a few episodes. Matataki's arc takes a long time to conclude, and watching her overrule what would otherwise be a comfy and sweet friendship/de facto Yuri dynamic is frustrating. I would have preferred if the Yuri elements weren't so downplayed, particularly Umika and Yu's relationship, I think. You could at least let them kiss. At least the final episode leads into it a bit harder, but I still would have preferred if it were more emphasized. I also think that Takaragi's arc and character in general just wasn't as fleshed out as it could have been. I'm assuming it's the sort of thing that it just didn't have time to go over in one season of anime. It's probably a bigger deal in the manga. But in the end, she just doesn't really have as strong a presence in the show as she could have. At the end of the day, we are left with this one fact. A girl who is very nervous, but is still trying her best, is cute. And that's what matters.